Welcome to another edition of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. As promised, I'm going to make you my mother's garlic, tomatoes, and oil spaghetti. This is very simple, only 3 ingredients, but oh man, is it so good. Here are your ingredients. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our whole tomatoes to a nice sized bowl. Now we're going to start crushing these by hand. We're going to crush them up into fairly decently small pieces. As you see, I'm using a glove. When you make a raw sauce, which this really is not a cooked sauce. It's just a raw sauce. If you're using your hands because it's raw, not cooked, you want to use a glove or at least make sure your hands are very clean. So as I'm crushing these tomatoes, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a backstory behind this. Both my mom and dad would make this, but there was a key difference between who made it. My dad loved garlic. He loved it to be really strong. And so my mom would use, as you see in the recipe, 6 cloves of garlic in this. My dad would take a whole bulb of garlic and we'd put it in. And it'd be really strong and it would burn your mouth, but it was a great burn, really tasty. And if you love garlic, I recommend you get a whole bulb or maybe do 12 cloves in it if you want it that strong. Now, the reason why I told you that was I used to work for my Uncle Nick. And Aunt Sue, this one's for you. And when I was working for him, we did gutters, aluminum trim, aluminum siding, that type of work. And it was a day in February where I would go to the shop. I would load the truck with all of the materials, and I'd go pick up Uncle Nick at his house. Well, this particular day, it was February, I think, early February, and the temperature was like 5 degrees out. So I went and I picked Uncle Nick up. He got into the truck. The heater's going, the windows are up, and the first thing he does, he looks over me and he says, "What in the hell did you have to eat?" And I go, "What?" I was laughing. He said, "Oh my God." And my Uncle Nick had a twitch where he would go like this. And he was twitching like that. He opened up the window as we're driving, freezing cold, 5 degrees out, because the smell inside the truck coming out of my pores was that garlic. So you need to understand that too. If you're going to have a lot of strong garlic, even the next day, you can brush your teeth, do anything you want, it might still come out of your pores. So now on to the next step. So for the next step, if you have a garlic crusher like this, it's great because you want your garlic to be as fine as possible. And you see how this just squeezes the garlic right through. You can just load them one at a time and add in all your garlic this way. After crushing the last clove, I get a knife and I just cut it off. And as you can see, we have quite a bit of garlic in there. Now I'm going to take a big spoon and I'm going to stir this around really well. Then I'm going to add my oil. My mother always used Crisco. We didn't even know what olive oil was because it was so expensive and we didn't have the finances for it. I'm using olive oil because I like olive oil. But other than that, this is how my mom made it. Now we just need to wait for the spaghetti to be fully cooked. Now, because I'm only going to make 1 pound of pasta, I'm going to take half of this out and I'm going to stick it in a separate bowl. And I'm going to make moyu sauce. If you want to know my moyu sauce, that's on my site. And that just adds a couple more seasoning to this. Otherwise, it's a very similar type sauce. I've got my boiling water that's been salted going, dropping my pasta. And this pasta cooks 7 to 9 minutes. I'm going to take it out after 8 to make sure it's good and al dente. So the pasta is perfectly al dente, so it's time to drain them and get them over to our sauce. So the pasta's been drained, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in with all of our sauce, and then we're just going to mix it around to incorporate all that sauce amongst all these noodles. Once I have this sauce fully incorporated, it's time to plate. To plate this, I'm going to take some of this pasta, and I'm going to turn it inside my spoon, give myself a little nice mound. I'm going to bring it over to my plate. I'm going to lay it in nice and tall. Then from the extra that I have here, I'm going to add a little bit onto the top of my pasta. A little more sauce there. I'm going to add a little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano. And then I'm going to drizzle just a little bit of olive oil over this. And that's all there is to making my mother's tomatoes, garlic, and oil spaghetti. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. I hope you come and see me again. Buon appetito, everybody. Bye.